The day has come where Ministry of Coasters will make a video not about Epic Universe. Today we're going to be heading to Busch Gardens, Tampa for Iron Gwazi. This is the hyper hybrid coaster that was a conversion of the original wooden coaster, Gwazi. Gwazi wasn't exactly a bad coaster, but just super boring and can definitely be far better. And I'll just say, Iron Gwazi is a tiny bit better. It's really close. Just kidding. It's not remotely close. Iron Gwazi is an absolute upgrade to the original, and it's by a landslide. Iron Gwazi opened in 2022, even though it was scheduled to open far before that. It was delayed several times for COVID, but inevitably opened in 2022. So let's get into it. Iron Gwazi is a hyper hybrid coaster that has opened to some insane praise, and is absolutely deserved. Let's start with the presentation of this coaster. Iron Gwazi is insanely imposing, and you can see it from miles away, and it's insane. Once you're really there, it's just massive and really gets you hyped. The station and sign are really cool from the outside, though I would say it's more stylized than themed, but I still think it adds to the ride a little bit. Once you actually enter the queue, there's some signs with facts, a really epic and cool soundtrack playing, and some really good views of the coaster. You will make it to the station, which is where you will find the biggest problem for all of Iron Gwazi: the absolutely atrocious operations. These are so bad that it honestly gets annoying. The amount of times it took 5 minutes to load was like 15 too many. This ride is so good, but this aspect of it is really annoying. It needs a lot of work. But now that we've gotten through the queue and blabbered on about how absolutely terrible the operations are, let's begin talking about the coaster itself. You will start with a little pre-lift section that is honestly a little jarring, but really fun. Nothing crazy, but a nice little start to the ride. You'll make it to the lift hill, which is insanely slow, but at least it allows for your anticipation to build a ton, and give you some solid views of Busch Gardens and the Tampa Bay area. Once you make it to the top of the lift, it'll slow down before you go down what is probably my first or second favorite drop on the planet, competing with T-Express for the top spot. You just fall forever, and it's not like solid, sustained floater. It is strong and insane ejector for what feels like a million years. It's an absolutely world-class drop and blew me away the first time. You do a slight turn before you enter the outer bank, which is probably the best outer bank I've ever experienced, even above Airy Force. It's definitely the most aggressive outer bank I've experienced. You have some really strong positives going into it, with a couple of nice head choppers before you whip outwards, where you'll get another moment of insanely strong and sustained ejector. It is easily one of the best airtime moments I've ever experienced, and hits way harder in the back. You'll whip out of it before going into a rising turn to the right before you enter the signature element of the ride, the death roll. This moment going in, I was thinking would be good, but cooler to look at than experience, because all the people I heard saying it's not quite as insane as it looks. I could not disagree more. This element is honestly up there in the debate for the best inversion I've ever experienced. Yes, better than the Mosasaurus roll in my opinion, and honestly up for debate as my favorite element, just period, on any coaster. The whip is insane. You get ejector airtime and tons of really good head choppers. And yet again, hits way harder in the back. And actually, better on a specific side this time, and that's the right. The whip is just stronger on that seat. Anyway, you'll then go through a valley with some pretty strong positives, then fling into an overbank with yet again amazing head choppers and some solid positives. This element is really good, definitely not a standout, but yeah, really good. You'll whip out of it and get some ejector before entering probably the fan favorite element of the ride. And that's for good reason, the wave turn thing. Still not positive what it's called, but I'm just going to call it a wave turn for this video. In this element, you fling 90 degrees to the side and get one of the most demented ejector airtime moments of any ride. This element, I had no idea what it was going to feel like going in, and no doubt, it met and by far exceeded expectations. You will whip out of this element before entering what I consider the beginning of the second half of the ride. You go into like a half camelback, then fling to the left, giving great ejector, before entering a classic wave turn that gives flow ejector in the morning, but when it warms up, solid ejector. You then enter the stall, which is probably the only even kind of dud of an element on the ride. It just feels out of place in this insanely intense coaster. Like, it's not even a great stall. It just feels like 2 seconds to catch your breath, which I guess you kind of need on a ride like this, but at least the exit out of this element gives a really good whip. You will go up into a quick off-axis ejector pop that's insanely strong, then turns to the right before you meet the two strongest airtime moments on the entire ride. The first ejector pop surprised me, but that second one is literally demented. You also get really good laterals on the way down to the second pop. You do one last turn before you enter probably the most underrated moment on the ride. This last huge ejector hill that's almost just as strong as those last two pops, but also insanely sustained. If I'm being honest, on my night rides I did when this ride was warmed up, this was probably my favorite element on the entire ride. It's just freaking insane. You do one last turn before you whip into the brake run with an insane amount of speed. Honestly, this ride could be way longer, but at the same time, even a couple more elements could have made it too much for most people. It's that intense. When you hit the brakes, you just have to take in what you just did. You honestly feel shocked after every ride. This thing never gets old and will probably stay in my top 3 for a very long time. Like, honestly, it's potentially number 1 for me. It's that good. There's not one thing you could do to make this ride better. Plus, I forgot to mention, this is the best paced coaster I've ever experienced. Most people say it's insanely slow in the morning, but I disagree. It's not close to the night rides, but still absolutely some of the best rides on any coaster I've been on anyway. The night rides are demented and the most intense coaster experience I have done. So what else can I say? Iron Gwazi is nothing short of perfect and lives up to every last bit of hype you hear about it. So make sure to get out to Busch Gardens, Tampa so you can ride this absolutely insane coaster. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. Go subscribe too. And see you next time on Ministry of Coasters. Bye!